So let's take a look at completing the square. So another method for solving quadratic equations is completing the square. In this method, a constant c is added to the expression x squared plus bx, so that x squared plus bx plus c is a perfect square trinomial. So let's take a look at trying to find that perfect number. So we're going to complete the square for each expression, then factor the trinomial. So this is really an introduction to completing the square today. So let's look at x squared plus 6x. So in order to complete the square, find the perfect number, what we're going to do is we're going to find half of b. So remember that b is the number in front of the x here. So we're going to take 6 and divide that by 2. That's half of b. So that is 3. Then we're going to take 3 and we're going to square the result from step 1. So we're going to square 3. Now I'm going to circle 3 because that's important to us. So 3, and then let's square it. So 3 squared is 9. Okay, so that's the second step. We're going to add the result from step 2 to x squared plus bx. So we have x squared plus bx, well, which is 6x, so that's x squared plus 6x plus that c value of 9. Now we're going to factor the resulting expression as a square of a binomial. Now, all we're going to do is we're just going to factor. Let's use the x method. So it multiplies to 9 that adds to 6. So 9 is 3 times 3. So 3 times 3 is 9, and 3 plus 3 is 6. So that factors to x plus 3 times x plus 3, or we can write that as x plus 3 squared. Now I want you to notice this 3 that I have here. This 3 is the same exact 3 that I circled here, okay? And that is always true, okay? Because we're trying to find the perfect square trinomial. So let's try one more example on the right. So we have x squared minus 9x. So this one's a little tougher because the b value is odd, but it's still possible. So I just want you to see that. So the b value is negative 9. So it's important to write the negative 9. So what do we do with that? So again, we take the negative 9 and we cut it in half or divide it by 2. So let's divide that by 2. Doesn't divide perfectly, that's okay. Then once we divide by 2, we're going to square it. And so again, let me circle this negative 9 halves because that'll be important to us later on. So negative 9 halves squared, so that means you take negative 9 halves, you just write it twice, you expand it. Then to multiply fractions, you just multiply the numerators and multiply the denominators. So negative 9 times negative 9 is positive 81, and 2 times 2 is 4. So that is our c value that we're going to add at the end. So you have x squared minus 9x plus this perfect value, 81 over 4. And so that is the perfect square trinomial. Now we're going to factor. But I want you to know that all you have to do is write the x minus and then the 9 halves and then squared, and you're done. Okay, so what I want you to do is go ahead and try these bottom numbers. You're going to find the number that you can add at the very end, right? So what are you going to add here as the perfect value? It's always adding because anything squared will be positive. And then you're going to factor it at the very end as a squared binomial. So pause the video and try it out. So if you tried this out for number 1, you would have gotten 25 as the perfect number to add at the back. Then you would have gotten x plus 5 squared. So notice if it's positive here, it'll be plus 5 here. So again, you take this b, 10, divided by 2, which is 5. I circle it because that's important for later. Squared equals 25. Then I take this 25 and add it to the end. Then I factor it. But again, all I have to do is do the x plus 5 with this number here and then parentheses squared. So this next one is you take the negative 4 divided by 2, which is negative 2. I circle it for later. Then I square this value. It is now 4. So I take that and add it to the end. Then this negative 2 just goes in here, x minus 2, and then squared. So again, important with the negatives. This last one, you have negative 16 over 2. So take the b value divided by 2, and then that equals negative 8, and then I circle it because it's important. I square it, and that equals 64. So 64 gets added to the back, and then we write the squared binomial as x, and the minus 8 goes down here, squared. Okay, let's do one more example. So find the value of c that completes the square, and then factor the trinomial. So what we did before. So we're going to take negative 8, the b value, divide it by 2, so that becomes negative 4. Then I circle it, because that's important for later. Then I have to square it. So negative 4 times negative 4 is positive 16. So this is going to go into my c value. So I write it as x squared minus 8x plus 16. Then I'm going to factor it. So again, if you need to, you can always use the x method, but multiply 16 that adds to negative 8. That's negative 4 times negative 4. Or the other way to remember it is that I circled the negative 4, and so that's just what's going to get written inside. X minus 4 squared. Okay, so the c is 16, and then here is the squared binomial. So go ahead and try these last 3 problems. Pause the video, and when you come back, I'll have the answers for you. Okay, if you tried it out, for number 4, you should have gotten c as 4. And then remember that we highlighted, we circled 2, so to factor it, you just put the 2 here. And it's a positive 2. Then for this one, c is 1, and then again, you circled the negative 1, so that goes in here. And then you factor number 6, you found the perfect number. You found out that negative 14 divided by 2 is negative 7. And again, that goes at the bottom in the squared binomial. Okay, so I hope this helps you out, and you'll get more practice in the next few days.